back to the Green Beret. Correction. Welcome back to the Operator's Edge podcast. All right, we have the rest of the guys making their way in here pretty soon. But I just want to jump on here and get everything going so we can hit this live stream and add some value to you guys. Man, Mackenzie Scott donated $7.2 billion. She's just giving away all that Amazon money. All right, I need her to donate some of that money. I need her to donate some of that money to me.
Hey, what's up, brother? What's happening, Jay? You hear me all right?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear. How you doing?
All right, I'm good, man. I'm good. Good to go.
Dude,
What did
I
you
just
see?
saw an article that said Mackenzie Scott, she just donated another $7.2 billion.
Who is she?
It's Jeff Bezos' ex-wife.
Wow.
She's on a giving spree, man. She's been giving just money away.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't know,
and I
man.
was like, man, I need to get Jake in there so Jake can get some of that money. It's
get back
fucking.
to get back to Amazon again.
But yeah, she's I guess whenever they went through their divorce or whatever, she got a pretty decent amount of money
Yeah, she got
for
billions, right? It had to
yeah,
be billions.
billions.
Yeah,
Like
it's insane.
hell, man.
I
Well,
think
she just gave away 7.2 billion. So she's
wow.
definitely yeah, like a deca, if not a well, she's more than a deca
It's
billionaire.
insane. Insane. I'll tell you
She's
what, when
just
they showed that the new wife for Jeff Bezos, they showed like some of those clips of her really just like, she was like falling in love with Leonardo DiCaprio and just kind of, swooning over him. That was interesting. Not a
yeah. Well, she's
not the best sign in the world, that's for sure.
no. And it just goes to show, man, because they literally built this company to get. I don't know if they built it together or if she was just there, right?
Yeah.
She just happened to be
She
there while
supported him.
everything
She
was.
supported him. He like,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And now all of a sudden, like, um, she goes on her own way. He's going on his own way, and
Right.
I
Right.
mean, Amazon is making him so much money to where, like, I think it's the shares that she ended up getting whenever they were splitting up. She
Yeah.
got a bunch of shares, and
Yeah, I think so.
Amazon has just been crushing it,
I think
and
so.
now she's reaping the benefits.
No, man, there's
So,
a lot of
but
crazy stuff for sure. Um, yeah, man, I just there's a lot of nutty news out there, no doubt about it. A lot of crazy
oh,
stuff
absolutely,
happening.
absolutely, yeah.
So,
All the reason why you gotta be extra careful who you choose to hang out with, all right? Who you
yep,
choose to
no doubt about it.
yeah, who you
Mm.
choose to bed with, because that shit will come back and bite you in the butt, especially as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. Like you build this thing, and then next thing you know, you're having to give up half.
Yep, no doubt
So
about it.
yeah, that
No doubt
that gets
about
old
it.
after a while. But as we wait for Bobby to trickle in, folks, again, we appreciate you guys tuning in and spending some time with us this morning. Ben, for those who don't know you, you do a quick intro, and then we'll jump right into today's topics.
Hey everybody, I'm Ben Pappas. I'm a retired Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel. I served in the infantry and as a commander, Force Recon, as a Force Recon Direct Action Platoon Commander, and then also as a battalion commander in MARSOC. Also spent time as a diplomat overseas, working with the interagency as a Marine Corps attaché. So I've been through that system as well too. So I've got a good idea about international relations and all of those things. Currently, I'm an executive coach and I help people. I do leadership and life coaching and help people to grow their businesses, help organizations to improve their leadership, help them with organizational design. I work with anywhere from startups, from tech startups, to CEOs, founders, and owners of companies, all the way down to just everyone within my, everyone from different walks of life, different industries in my community and my coaching membership, which is super, super cool. My Ferocious Optimist community. You can check that out. The link is in the bio of my YouTube page. And I also have, speaking of that, I have a YouTube channel that I'm really trying to grow. So come on over and subscribe there. It's all about positivity, uplifting. It's the Ferocious Optimist podcast and channel, which our whole mission is to try and upgrade your life. Jay was just a guest on there on Monday. We had a fantastic 2-hour interview. Honestly, it could have gone for 6 hours. So probably gonna have Jay come back and do
It was
another
good.
segment. So we got to cover some of the deeper Green Beret actions and things, and talk more business. But that's me in not such a small nutshell, but a big nutshell, as we let the crowd trickle in.
Bobby, why don't you do a quick intro real quick, let the folks know who you are, and then we'll jump right into this one.
Who are you, Bobby?
Absolutely. Fucking Bobby Aller, former paratrooper. Nowadays trying to become one of these guys over here, Man got king on his damn coffee cup. You know what I mean? That's when you got confidence right there. Not cockiness,
right.
but confidence. Right now, I'm trying to chase an international scam artist across the country, or globe, I would say. So, two dogs and one guy, private eye, baby. I'm looking for everybody. Come and get paid.
Dude, I love it. I might have needed your services at some point.
Absolutely.
Let me know. I can find them.
Awesome.
Hey, it only took me 24 hours
Absolutely.
on Mandarin.
Nice.
And shout out to Jake. He's under the weather, so Jake get well soon. And guys, my name is Jay Dolius, retired U.S. Army Green Beret. Currently run the Green Beret Chronicles channel, and we are growing that thing into hopefully a successful media company. Right? I'm giving it 20 years. I read somewhere, it was in an old real estate book, and it says if you ever want to see any sort of wealth, do whatever it is that you're doing for 10 years, whether it's investing, whether it's buying and holding. Like, give it 10 years and let the compound interest takes effect, and then you'll really see actual wealth, right? So I'm gonna do this social media thing for about 20 years. That'll put me at 60, right? And then hopefully go into politics, right? I'm putting all that stuff out there. So before we jump into it, a quick
It's weird you say that. I hear these kids that are griping about being 20 and not being able to buy a house and shit, and I'm like, man, if you're in your 40s and buying a house, like, you ahead of the game nowadays.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't get discouraged, guys.
Oh, absolutely. I read somewhere, way too much reading on my end, but from the first 20 years of your life, you're just trying to keep yourself from making dumb life-altering decisions. The first 20 years, dumb life-altering decisions, getting somebody pregnant, going to jail, like anything that can essentially derail your entire life. The first 20 years of life, just try not to make those mistakes. The next 20 years, get into a good profession and become an expert at it. For us, we did the military, right? 20 years, and we became expert at that. And from 40 to 60, go on and make your millions, and then 60 to 80, give back, and whatever capability that is.
Tough. Finding your next profession is tough.
Oh, absolutely. But wherever your passion is, like, that's where that's gonna be.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things I work on with my clients.
How do you find that?
I've got a lot of successful people that come over, and after they hit their major goals, yeah. I mean, after they hit their major goals, then kind of people start to drift, and they wonder, well, what's next? What do I do next? And so I think it's important. People will talk about passion, purpose, focus, all those things, and I think having, looking at when are you in a state of flow? Like, when are you in your flow state? When are you feel like you're using all of your potential? What are you really curious about? What gets you so curious that you could do it all day? All those things like that. And then I think when you have a personal mission, you really got to define that. And people, I think we blow past it. We really got really good at that in the military, but a lot of people blow past defining a personal mission. Like, my mission statement is to be an inspirational leader to create positive, lasting change in the lives of others. And so if things don't fit within that, I don't do it, and that's it. And that's what I try to work on every day and how I make my decisions. But as you're saying, Jay, and Bobby too, as you go and pick that next thing, if you have a really deep, a mission with a deep driving purpose underneath it, and as Jay and I talked about on Monday, do you have goals that have deep driving purposes underneath them? And then it gets easier, but you got to spend some of that time, everyone watching in the audience, you got to spend some of that time to really define those things. It makes a huge difference.
So I'm going to ask.
You have to invest some time.
Go ahead,
Yeah,
Jack.
go ahead, Bobby.
So I want to ask both of you because I
No.
was telling a friend of mine. I think he's in like 27 years. He's done, I know, at least 20 of them at 10th group. And I mean, he's immediately trying to get back out on the job right now. And I'm like, why, Braz? You know what I mean? Take a knee for a minute, brother. You know, drink some water. But, you know, he just keeps wanting to be an assaulter. And I'm like, you starting to get some age on you, starting to slow down. Maybe you ought to, you know, be the guy teaching it or something. You know what I mean? He can't get away from it, but that's all he's good at. And I hate to say that, but he spent his lifetime in it.
See, that's a misconception, right? Because for the last 20 years, the military has told us, hey, whatever MOS you were, that's what you're good at, right? So, like I said earlier, you find something and you get really, really good at it. So from our early, 18 on up, like we spent 20 years in the military doing that same thing, and we think that's all we're really good at. And the military wants us to believe that because they want us to keep doing the job. However, once you get out, you have to recreate yourself, right? You have to evolve, or else in the vet community, everybody thinks that, oh, like I was just good at being a soldier. I was just good at being an assault. No, like you were good at that one thing. That's chapter two, right? That is chapter two of your life. Chapter one, you were born, you joined the military. Chapter two, you were in the military. Chapter three, four, and five, you still have to write that. And I have to tell people every day that I speak to on the phone, dude, you're not just an assaulter. You were a father. You're a brother. You're a leader. You're somebody's son, right? Like you are more than that. But until guys get it in their heads that, hey, the military was just part of what I did,
Yeah.
they won't be able to evolve, man. Like they have to recreate themselves and do other things.
It's hard
They
to
just
get out
have
of
the
that comfort
tools
zone,
now.
though. You've already mastered that. You know what I mean? You're a master at that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's so
I mean,
easy to revert back to comfort. Go ahead, Ben.
look, I'll tell you like one thing, like in competitive sports, like I was a college football player. You know, Jake and I played football together at the Naval Academy. But you know, and Bobby, you know this as an MMA fighter. Like you know, it's very unforgiving. Injuries. My career ended my junior year in college football, with a neck injury. Right, there's no coming back. And you know, I tried to rehab for a year, and or for like 6-7 months. And the doctor sat me down and said, "You're done." I can't tell you how devastated I was. But in a way, you know, and I look back on it, and even at the time, I tried to see it as a blessing because it made me go full out, full in, all in on my, you know, next steps to become a Marine Corps officer and all these things, and how am I going to train for that, which is different than training for football. Some things are complementary, but you know, it's different. And so, but you know, you have these things that are unforgiving, and so like you're saying, your buddy trying to be an assaulter still. You know, I'm not gonna tell you, and we know this. At some time, you age out of some of that stuff, man. You know, you're not jumping off the first story building, you know, or sprinting around the corner with all the kit on. That doesn't ever really fit properly. I don't care what they do. It never really is, you know, perfect. I mean, if football equipment never really always fit properly, this stuff definitely did. You have little things hanging off you, weight unbalanced everywhere. The rifle that's only on one side. You know, I mean, you get little injuries and people try to compensate for it, you know, supplementation and rehab and all this stuff like that. But eventually you're going to age out of that. And I think, you know, you have to also prepare yourself for the next phase. And that's where you really have to look at, what am I really interested in? What am I curious about? What am I passionate about? What am I good at and that I enjoy doing? Because sometimes what you're good at, you may not enjoy doing it too. But I will say, if you're really good at it, it's hard. You know, you don't have to enjoy it. And Bobby, you talked about, you said that little thing over joy and happiness. But do you get some deep satisfaction from it? Because that's something to be said too. You can get inner peace and a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. So if you're out there and you're wondering what the next act is, you're wondering, am I having to phase out of this? If you were in like a job like we had, right, where eventually it's up and out, you have to get out. There's no, you know, sticking around forever. Then I really strongly suggest you take a look at, okay, you know, what am I really curious about? What am I really interested in? Am I trying it? Have I shipped anything yet? You know, so to speak, have I interacted with the marketplace? Have I tried it yet? Do I even know if I actually like it when I try it, or it's just an idea? So you got to go out and you got to try it. You got to see how it goes. You got to see, did you enjoy the process? What's the daily work really like? Strip it down to its bare principles. What's the daily life really like? Like, I'll tell you right now, if you want to do something like this YouTube or a media company or in the coaching industry, you're going to spend a lot of time marketing and doing podcasts and creating content and writing, interacting with the audience. And if you don't like all that stuff, then you either have to try it out and get good at it and like it, or probably look at something else. Just as an example, but I definitely don't say go until total failure where you've broken and you're getting broken down. And everyone has their own opinion. Some people go until that happens, but I think you do a lot of unnecessary time wasting and damage to yourself and psychological damage too. But Bobby, what do you think, man?
It was funny you're talking about the age. When you start you hit that age limit and then you realize it. Realizing it's the hardest part, because it's like, I'm still going to be physically more fit than most of the guys my age in the average world, but over here I'm like, the murder machine never stops going. You know what I mean? When you slow down, they got somebody there to take your place in a heartbeat, waiting on it.
Right.
And I want to say, back when the Ukraine thing got going really good, I had somebody call me like, hey man, you want to go to Ukraine? Contract, I'm like, thinking about it, I'm all pumped up, like, hell yeah, getting back. I'm like, man, we ain't them guys no more, man. I was like, shit, I'm gonna fuck around and dive somewhere, hurt my leg, and I'm gonna be like, whoa.
I had the same thing. I had like someone sent me over on Signal, sent me like a whole thing to join this team, and then another buddy of mine that's oh gosh, how do we say it here? He's in the interagency doing ground type activities, right? And so, and if you know, but. And I remember, he was just telling me, he's like, dude, he's like, you're in there doing like basic infantry tasks again, and your knees are hurting, your ankles are hurting, and if you're not fully up to speed, fully like ready to do this stuff, like time now, he's like, you're gonna get injured. It's just simple, because like you said, Bobby, the murder machine doesn't stop. And
you remember the old guys warming up, and you're like, you show up half drunk, you're just like, whatever. I go in there to lift weights, I throw 225 on and hit my warm up and like, let's ride. And guys are like, the old guys have been over for 45 minutes. He's stretching still with bands and shit.
Right. And now get no mistake, super effective during mission, during target, during actions on, super effective on everything. You know what I mean? And also, like I said many times, Jay, you and I talked about it, where instead of doing this, that guy's going like this, straight line. And as a younger guy, you're usually doing a little bit of this to get to that result, because you don't have the experience and the foresight, So
yeah, well, this one actually brings us into our first question, and it's life crushing lies. Like, how do you guys deal with life crushing lies in the form of little Timmy is growing up, right, and his mom and his dad are telling him all of these things that are going to crush his confidence later on, or we're getting ready to get out the military and we're hearing all these lies that essentially puts us in a box and confined us into, like, hey, this is all you're ever going to be good at, right? You can't do anything else. Like, how do you guys break out of those confinements and essentially reprogram your brain to understand that, hey, I can do whatever I put my mind to, and I can achieve whatever I can achieve? And I think it was Eric Thomas that said it. He was like, dude, if you could think of it, you can achieve it. Right? If God is giving you that vision and he's showing you that thing, there's no reason why you can't execute on that thing and actually turn it into a reality. And when you think about it, some of the craziest things that's ever taken place, flying in an airplane, like somebody had to think about that, right? Just think about when the Wright brothers or whoever said it first, they probably thought they were crazy. They're like,
man, I watched that flight. They went down, though, Jay. I mean,
sure.
Yeah, but again, you still had to learn through trials and tribulations. Like, nobody gets it on their first try, right? Ben Franklin, if it wasn't, there wouldn't be any electricity, right? Like, so all these different things that have taken place that shaped the world to what it is today, at one point in time, somebody had that idea and then they turned it into a reality. So yeah, how do you guys break out of that? Ben, we'll start with you and then we'll hit Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things that I teach within my coaching membership, my community, in my Ferocious Optimist community, and I teach my one-on-one clients, some very basic foundational things are that, the quality of your life really depends on the quality of your thoughts. Okay, so you have to be able to direct your thoughts. And the things that also influence the direction, the focus of your thoughts are limiting beliefs. So what's this software that's running in the background? Like a computer has little software programs running to keep it going that we don't even see, we don't even know about, okay? but what software programs do you have running in the back of your mind that are really limiting beliefs, the little lies, as Jay's calling it? So like a little lie that's telling you something, for example, a concept of learned helplessness, that, you know, when you were younger, you couldn't do it. And when you're at a certain age, you couldn't do it. Or your first time you tried, you couldn't do it. But it's like the story of a baby elephant. And I think I've probably told this story before. I know I've told it definitely in my community, my membership. But, you know, a baby elephant, when it's young, how they control it is they tie it with a little rope, not even that big, to a tree. And nothing cruel. I've been around. There's like in Thailand and, you know, other places seeing these baby elephants, and they're really playful. That's why, because they get into trouble. They chase you around like they're like a little puppy. They're crazy. But they're like an 800-pound crazy little puppy. And so they tie it to a tree, and they can't break it because it's little and it's floppy. It doesn't even have its bones really formed. By the time it's an adult elephant, it can rip that tree out of the ground. But it's learned that it can't. And so it learned that it's helpless, and so it doesn't even try anymore. So you want to ask yourself in your life, what limiting beliefs have you put into your mind or someone else has put there? You really have to examine these belief systems and these assumptions for why you won't try something, why you're afraid to go and do something new, or why you can't break past a certain level. Like you're like, I just can't lose the weight. I'm not going to get the six-pack, just as an example. My whole family's big boned. Who told you that, right? Usually it's just your nutrition, what you've been taught how to eat, when you're eating. You know, you're eating around 10 p.m. at night. Insulin levels are different. You're not going to lose weight. You're going to gain weight. All these things like that. But, you know, an unexamined life is very dangerous for you. You have to take a look at what are the limiting beliefs, the little lies, okay, really, like, you know, Jay is saying, that are holding you back and telling you can't, okay? And I want to say this too, okay? Another concept is that all human behavior does one of three things. It serves to provide for us, protect us, or serve something very important to us, okay? And so with the words in this software that was put into your brain by your parents and by somebody else, they're probably trying to protect you, probably trying to serve you in some way, probably trying to help you, okay? But you have to ask yourself, does this serve me anymore? And if it doesn't serve you anymore, then you got to get rid of it. You got to change it, okay? And changing it starts with taking the small actions to undo it each and every day. And just making sure, first of all, identifying, you know, why am I feeling this way towards this thing? What's this resistance and this fear? What's this procrastination? Why can't I do this? Why am I constantly thinking of the negative side of this? Why can't I see this as an opportunity? Because I'm going to tell you right now, okay? I'm going to tell you right now. And I've seen it before. You know, I see people who, they don't believe that your thoughts and beliefs matter, and they just go about their days. They have the same thoughts. They don't realize it. They have the same thoughts that are influenced by the same beliefs that make them take the same decisions and the same actions. They build the same habits, okay, over time, and they get the same results over and over and over years. And the next thing you know, you arrive at a destiny, which is your destination, okay? So if you don't believe that the way you think and your beliefs matter, I'm here to tell you that might be exactly why it's holding you back from getting the thing you really want, okay, from building the life you really want, from accomplishing the things you really want, all these things like that. So you got to start with that first, all right? Because everything in life, your success in life, is 80% psychology, 20% mechanics, and doing it, all right? So I'll end on that, otherwise I'll be talking forever. So that's what I think.
Bobby?
Hey, we got to get you some TV commercials, man, because I'll be missing your show every damn time, and I want to watch it. Like, I'm like, we got to do something, get him some commercials going, so I see you every week.
I appreciate you, brother.
So it's exactly what you said, and the sad thing is the older I got, everybody's like, man, you was always this. You were there. Like, it didn't mean nothing. You were on a whim. Because I would always go, they were like, man, I wish, man, I could go to Florida. I'm like, why can't you? Go get in the car. Let's go. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Now, I always understood there might be some consequences. So people always say, well, man, I ain't got a choice. I'm like, yeah, you do. You know, is it worth it? I see so many people set boundaries for themselves because they're scared of whether it be finances or this or that. And, you know, I used to hear somebody always talk about burn the boats. He's like, fuck it, put your back to the wall. Sometimes you got to dig in your cleats. You know, you can't just keep moving. Life will just keep pounding on you. Sometimes you got to fight back, you know. And I bring that up because earlier Jay was talking about, like, you know, finding that next step. And dude, it took me a long time because I tried everything. I mean, and I wasn't happy. And if I pull in somewhere and I sit there and look at that place and I'm like dreading to go in there, there's no way I can make myself do that for life or whatever. Now I might have to do it for 2 weeks to get a check, but I'm finna go take another shot. You know. Also, there's a lot of value in things you don't see around you, and it's like you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but how can I make the wheel that's going to apply to somebody that doesn't? You know, I might have to make the wheel shorter. You got short ass people. You know, they may only make one wheel, and that's what I've been trying to do. I found some things that were basically what I did is I took what I was good at. I'm really good with finding information. I'm really good with reading people. I'm very good with human nature because it's a creature of habit, you know, and just by body movements, and it's because I've been in those spots before, so I know exactly what they're doing. And I'll bring one last thing is like the biggest growth period I ever had fighting was when I lost, and I mean I was absolutely destroying somebody, like couldn't believe they kept the fight going, but that dude fought through that adversity, and I thought it was over, and then I was so exhausted. I mean I couldn't even stand up hardly anymore. But my growth period after that, once I got that off my back, it's kind of like I watch kids when they go spar, and everybody's doing their best not to get hit. And I would just take them and I say, stop. Just stop. And I'll walk over and I'll take a glove and I'll hit somebody right in the face. And I'm like, did it hurt? Well, not really. Okay, then. It didn't kill you. So once they accept it, they understand, oh, shit, wait a minute, this doesn't hurt. Then you become dangerous.
Right.
Because now you're like, I can take this.
Right.
Move forward. And that's kind of my mindset. And like I said, I've just now fallen into something else that I've loved and I'm really good at. And I've disseminated enough where I've got enough credibility, you know, that I got a job offer this week from somebody, you know, in New York.
Nice, man. I mean, that's, yeah. Go ahead, Jay. I think your mic's off, Jay. We're in a kung fu movie for a minute. I'll dub over Jay. You move your mouth, I'll talk for him. And then we moved. And then I was climbing the tree, and they shot at me. But his mantis style was not strong enough for my.
Yeah. Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So I think a lot of times we don't realize as parents that we're the one that impose a lot of the limiting beliefs onto our kids, right? And it's telling a kid, hey, you're stupid, or hey, you always have all this energy, like go sit down and be quiet, you know. And now you're essentially treating that kid like that elephant that Ben talked about, right? And a lot of these,
your icom's broke.
All right, I'll dub over.
He's on that icon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I think what Jay's saying is a really good point. You know, we'll talk about kids and all the things like that. But what he's saying, if you say, go sit down, and the school does this. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't always the big guy saying school's bad, or, you know, college is bad, or all the things like that. I don't think college is inherently bad. I think it's a great system to, not what it does afterwards, but if you can imitate college, you know, have the structure to get that much done in that much time, that's good. But what I want to say is that when they tell you sit down, you have all this energy, that you learn that energy is bad, right? And that it's better if you're an introvert and you're able to sit and read and listen and do all the things like that. But energy is the difference, everyone. This is the thing. They try to coach the energy out of you. Energy, vitality, you know, it's a force of nature in and of itself, because the difference in people is the energy. It's the energy, the focus, the ability to take the pain, take the setbacks, and all those things like that. And I think to Jay's point, I'll turn it back over if your mic's working, but you got to be careful about the code, the software you're putting into your own head through self-talk. Okay, damn it. We talk about this all the time in my membership, my community. But your self-talk, we talk about it on my channel too, on every Friday Night Live, Sunday Night Live especially. Mondays are more of the interviews. But you got to be careful, the self-talk, the code you're putting into your own self, okay, the constant silent thought loop that's going on. And then you got to be careful about what you're saying to other people. If you want to be an influential leader, don't be someone that's like, you know, your body language, you look at people, like you're no good. You say things to people that are negative. If you have something constructive to build them up, you know, you can say it in a certain way. So your words matter. The code you're implanting into people through your words matters so much, but especially with kids, you got to be very careful. You know, I think one of the things is letting them try and letting them fail, letting them do things. You know, obviously you want them to be a good citizen.
Let them finish something. Make them
dude,
finish.
That's
Just
it.
finish
Yep,
it.
Yep, 100%. You know, Bobby. I mean, you know, but it's you want to be a good citizen. You want to put some boundaries, right? Put some boundaries, like, don't certain things we don't do. Otherwise, if you're trying to accomplish something, trying to build something, trying to learn something, go for it, and like you said, finish it and get good
Just
at
finish it. Doesn't matter what it looks like. Just finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure we've all been, well, we're still pretty young, right? So just imagine 80 years from now, you're sitting there and you're looking at your grandkids, and then you see them do a type of action that's not necessarily good, and you're like, ooh, you can see yourself in your grandkids, right? Because that thing that you have, that baggage that you have, you pass it on to your kids, who then pass it on to their grandkids, right? All those limited beliefs as far as wealth, or hey, we belong in a certain place in society, et cetera, et cetera. It gets passed on to generation, and at some point, somebody has to break that, again, I guess, that generational curse, right? And I wanted to hit on this one because, again, there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that'll never do that thing, right? They're going to take it to the grave with them, and they'll never create that thing that they inspire to create. And it comes from the limited beliefs that were put in them as kids to say, hey, you will never do anything great, or you'll never do this, you'll never do that, right? And a lot of people don't know how to break through it. So I really appreciate the feedback as it relates to that specific topic. We'll
Everybody
hit this
treats that different, though, Jay. I think you got to find that each individual learns. My dad grew up in a very harsh time, so that's the only way he knew how to teach was through, if you were looking for I'm proud of you or a good job, you looking up the wrong fucking tree. He finna tell you what you did wrong and how to do it better.
But that doesn't always have to be how you speak to your kids.
Right, exactly. No,
right?
exactly. I don't do mine that way because I know how it felt.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's where it comes from, right? So we had a question in the chat that I'll answer real quick. Mason wanted to know if we've read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah, I answered him. I answered him already.
Okay.
So I said, yeah, it's good stuff. And actually, Jay talks about it in the interview, in my interview with him on my channel on Monday. So if you check that out, Mason talks a little bit about it.
Oh, absolutely. Also, if you're in the audience listening, we can use some support growing this channel as far as someone that can make thumbnails, create clips and shorts, and help us manage this channel. We just have so much going on, at least on my end, that I don't have the time to actually give this channel the time that it needs. So if anybody in the chat wants to join us and help us manage this particular social media platform, please reach out to us. We'd love to speak with you. But with all that said, we'll jump right into the next topic, which, again, being in the military, we're pretty familiar with this one, but I think it also transfers over. When it comes to developing leaders, how do you guys do that? As it relates to a organization, right? I know, Ben, you're dealing with it directly with your kids. I've dealt with it right now with some of the businesses that I own. Like, how do you essentially find a diamond in the rough and provide purpose, direction, motivation to essentially get them to where they, that they can be, right? How do you develop that?
I mean, this has been nothing but my life since I was 22. But so I've led so many organizations, big organizations, up to almost 1,000 people. And in my business today, this is what I do. So yeah, I will say that, to Jay's point, kids are the squirreliest and hardest one to lead out of everyone. And that's a day on, stay on, 24/7 job. It always is. Even after they get older, you're still always a father, a father figure, a leader, whatever it is, whether they're your biological kids or not. So if you're a mentor and a coach, you're that too. You're a football coach. Trust me, as a football coach, varsity football coach, you see the kids all the time. So how do you develop leaders? I think the first thing is you've got to define what it means to be a leader. You got to break it down to its barest minimum and define what does it mean to be a leader and what are the leadership traits we're looking for. So, setting the example is a clear, a first number one thing. But I think included in setting the example also is to be technically competent, meaning to know your job and to have high character. So you have to have character and you have to have competence as a leader. And those are the two things. And then you start out small. You start out small with a small amount of responsibility. It depends where we're at, right? if someone's in my business, right, working for me like an employee, or they're in a client business, okay, I'm assessing, are they technically competent? Can they do the job? Where do they need to improve? Okay, they have a high degree of competence. That's good. Now, what's their character? Do they have integrity? Are they loyal, right? Do they have commitment? Do they have moral courage? We're not going to see a whole lot of physical courage usually in the business world. I mean, we're just not. That's more in, military combat type things. But they're going to need moral courage to speak truth to power or to counsel someone, coach them, tell them what they really think, tell them when they're wrong. So courage, competence are absolutely crucial. And it's going to take you to coach them. But first of all, as a leader, if you can't train them, if you haven't written down what the ideas are that you want them to do, I've seen it so many times, it's going to fail. And then you're going to turn around and blame them and say, oh, well, you're not doing it right. You don't know how to do it because you didn't teach them. Okay. I'm going to say that the performance of your team is on you, first of all, as a leader, right? So now if you hire somebody, a contract worker, and you haven't clearly defined what you want them to do, okay, that's on you too. You get these people on your team to help you, but you have to still manage them, have to coach them. If you can get 80%, 90% of the way there with that person, and you don't have to do it, it saves you that much time, that's a win, okay? Then you keep refining, being patient, persistent. I always say the most important thing, though, is the character. And do they want to win? Do they want to improve? Do they want to fight, bite, and scratch their way to be the very best they can be within your organization, within this industry? Okay, then you got a winner. And then the skills from there, you can definitely learn. But I want to say some people have less horsepower than others, okay? I believe we each have a unique personal genius, but some people can learn much faster than others. So you got to take a look at the person you're working with. Why did you hire them? Why are they on your team, okay? And then if it's someone that you're leading that you inherited, that you didn't hire, let's say you're in a corporation or you're on a team already and they give you this person, okay? And they're very good at X, Y, and Z. They're not good at 1, 2, 3. You got to figure it out. Well, that's how you have to calibrate. That's where the art of leadership comes in. You have to calibrate the way you speak to them, the way you teach them. Some people learn through hearing, through audible. Some people learn through seeing it. Some people learn through doing it, kinesthetic, right? So there's different ways. I suggest you hit all three of those. Okay, message sent does not mean message received. The brief back, we used to do this in combat all the time. PCI ComCheck's brief back. You at least better get a brief back rehearsal, right? At least get a rehearsal of concept, a walkthrough before you step out the wire for combat, okay? If you don't get a rehearsal of concept, meaning I say, okay, Jay, tell me, it's like the Force 10 from Navarone, right? Jay, what are you going to be doing? Okay, at 1 a.m., I'm setting the breaches. I'm also going to call into Bobby. Bobby's going to take the sniper shot. The sniper shot goes off. I'm going to detonate the charges. Okay, good. What about at 2 a.m.? 2 a.m. where extract helos are coming. You got to have people brief it back to you. If they can't say what the job is back to you, they don't know. Okay, that's it. So I think how you develop leaders, there's so much there. I mean, this is what I do for a living right now as well too, helping to build teams. But you got to start out with the job description first. Number one. Okay, I just did this with one of my tech entrepreneurs, my startup founders. We deep dive into the job description. What are the tasks they need to take from you or they need to be doing, okay, as a second in command, third in command, or a manager of a certain section of your company. Okay, and that's so important. If you don't do that, don't expect great results, and then don't go crying when you wasted all this money and they don't know what to do, okay? And I will say this, there's an acronym called BAMSIS, right? BAMSIS is a military planning acronym. Begin the planning, okay? Arrange reconnaissance, make reconnaissance, complete the planning, issue the order, and the S is for supervise. It doesn't make BAMSIS plural. One of my old commanders used to say that. He ended up retiring as a 3-star general, pretty successful guy, okay, General Smith. The S does not make BAMSIS plural. You got to supervise. You got to follow through. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, all these people talking about passive income and about like, I'm going to hire the team and I'm just going to pull back. I'm going to go to friggin' Aruba. I'm going to chill out. No, you're not, okay? I mean, come on. And this leads to your other question about what's an entrepreneur and all this stuff like that. You need to get nitty-gritty dirty in there all the time. Once you build a company that you can walk away from for 30 to 90 days and still performs well, you're ready to be able to sell, to exit, okay? But, to get to that point where it runs, otherwise, you have to make sure you are deep in the coaching of the team. That should be one of your first priorities is the team, coaching the team to get things done for you. so you can stay in the most important competency, the most important thing in your business. All right. I'll get off my soapbox because again, I'll talk about this all day.
And this wouldn't be this. Well, you brought up something because it was something I was pretty big on as you were talking about talking it back. So when you do an op order, that's something I'd always do because you got 50 guys out there, and I'd pick it. I'd be like, all right, tell me your part.
That's it.
You know what I mean? And I want to hear it. And if he's like, and I'm like, push, you tell me his part. And I'll just have him, I'm like, if you're going to be stupid, then you're going to be strong.
That's
so, with consequences, we're talking about lives on the line right now. You know what I mean? So I need you to understand and listen to your part. And that might be something we could do sometime. Sit down, break down an op order for people. Because then it's structured. It's like, okay, if you're going to be in a leadership spot, it's about planning. And I always used to get hired on these jobs, and people were like, man, how the hell do you get hired on as a superintendent? I said, because I plan, even though I may not look like I'm going very fast, but when my game finally comes together at the end, I'll be way ahead of you. Like, it may look like it's not going fast, but when everything starts rolling in motion and I've got everything set up down the line, and you're that's what I tell people. I said, just because you're fucking moving doesn't mean you're getting anywhere. I hate that with guys at jobs or work. These guys will knock out their work and they're like, just find something to do, walk around, pick up trash. I'm like, no, just hold tight. Got something for you in a minute. You know what I mean? And that's the way it works. Everything doesn't have to be a constant movement. They're like, and that's a bad thing with work. And I want to bring back with the children. I actually like children, and I equip well with them because they don't have habits yet. And that's what I like, getting them younger, versus that'd be like Jay going and taking a gun class, we'll say, from Shrek. But he's in his mind like, man, I'm not doing it that way. Fucking, well, what the fuck are you doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously you came here to learn something. So if I show up, I'm not going to say a goddamn word. Or I wouldn't be there at that point.
Yeah.
So if you think you're already smarter than the guy that you're working for, you can either be, it's.
You know what's funny, Bobby, is that when I went through the SOCOM Special Operations Command, for everybody, I mean, they should all know that acronym, but SOCOM Commander's Course, Admiral Craven said something, and again, he's legendary type leader, right? Really well respected. And, he said something that really hit me. He said, I want to tell you, the other guy wasn't stupid. Remember that. The guy you're taking over from, there's a tendency, he said, I see it especially in SOF, where guys come in there to take command or they take over someone's team, and they kind of come in like, well, I'm the hero. You've been waiting for me your whole lives. I'm the one. And he said, the other guy wasn't stupid, and the other guy wasn't an idiot, and it's rare that was the case, right? And he said, so when you walk in there, as you were saying, Bobby, a little bit of humility, walk in to learn. You got 2 years, 2 years in one mouth for a reason. Learn for a bit first what needs to be fixed. And, but I think that matters too. It matters so much. Don't assume anything. Don't assume you're the hero, or don't, like in what we're talking about right now, don't assume that, what they're doing is wrong, that anything needs to be changed at all. I heard this the other day in entrepreneurship. Copying's okay. If someone's got a great system, cookie cutter that thing and try to improve it with efficiency. Don't be stupid and reinvent the wheel. You get set back a year or 20% of your revenue. You're going to be hurting. So, yeah, the other guy wasn't stupid, and it's important.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, because especially that, I'm like, the last guy wasn't stupid. He either fucked up.
The last guy, yep.
The last guy might have fucked up,
right?
Or he moved on,
right?
And that's what happens,
just and then, yeah.
You never think you can be replaced, but I'm gonna tell you what, the phone quits ringing after about a week or two.
That's right. That's what you walk right out. Like, I remember changing command when I was done with battalion commander, done with company commander, done with anything, and you do the little movements with the damn flag, and you pass that thing, and that's it. You go away, go eat some cake, you're out of there. Go eat friggin' whatever, have a burger, the little,
Man, get your picture up on the wall.
That's
you going, baby.
I don't even know if it's still there. They moved everything. I gotta get in there.
I know mine's there, because when I go, I put black and white photos, and I'll switch them out at battalion, and they don't know it. Like, I know it takes them a hot minute to notice that there's somebody on the fucking wall.
The MARSOC compound is like, Fort Knox, and I think Jay probably had the same thing with group, right? I mean, like you can't get in there. They have like several layers of checks to go through. And I was recently invited to a change of command. I can't make it, unfortunately, for one of my old team commanders, and he's giving up battalion command right now. But I just was thinking, you got to get down there, you submit everything ahead of time. They run a background check on you, everything before you get in. And I'm just like, man, oh man, it's like you can't. There's no drive by. Hey, I'm gonna stop by.
No.
Now once you're out, you're out.
Tire in front of the Delta compound, and they were like, "Hey, move your shit," and it's like, man, I got a flat. I didn't ask you that.
Yeah. Well, man, it would have been cooler if they came with a little bird, and they came down.
They didn't come help to push
the 4 goggles. Right?
All right, guys, we'll hit this last one and then we'll call it. When it comes down to entrepreneurship, a lot of people got it, a lot of people don't, right? What's some of the traits that you guys look for as far as and identifying whether or not someone is meant to be an entrepreneur or not? All right, we'll start with Ben since you work with a lot of those guys.
Yeah, I think I would say number one, the ability to handle uncertainty and risk. And, I think, you can do that in a few different ways. Some people have it inherently in their character. They may have done what we had done in the past, or they may have grown up in an entrepreneurial family and they see risk differently. They see uncertainty differently. They require less creature comforts, in order to really go all in on what they're doing. But I think, the ability to handle uncertainty and risk in a scientific, almost mathematical way where it's, they don't let the fear overwhelm them. They're like, okay, there's a lot of uncertainty and risk in this, but if I do these things, I can, by this point, generate income. So you need that type of character, I think, is very important. Understanding how to raise money, understanding sales, I think is very important. How do you communicate? Do you have good communication skills? All of that being said, if you don't, you can learn all of this, okay? If you want to start a business, but you haven't done it yet, all right, I'm telling you what some of the requirements are. But you can learn these things. I'm a big believer in the growth mindset that if you don't have it right now, you can learn it, okay? Because the behaviors other people do, there's not one size fit all, okay? There's not, you either have it or you don't, right? I mean, in some cases, you're either LeBron James here or not, right? If you want to be the best in the NBA, starts off with some gifts that maybe, we don't all have. But in entrepreneurship, it's not that, right? It's, first of all, the will and desire, okay? The will and desire to actually do it. And the will and desire to be the best you can absolutely be. And then to confront uncertainty and risk and to learn the skills in how to sell as well, too, okay? So I think that's so important because you're going to have to raise money. You're going to have to design a service or a product, and you're going to have to interact with the marketplace, and you're going to have to probably face a lot of rejection, a lot of disappointment. A lot of people throw failure around very easily. They throw the word failure around. Go out and fail fast, and you're going to face a lot of failure. I hope not, right? Because a lot of times when you fail, it can knock you out of the game. So rejection, disappointment, but this goes back into fire bullets first, then cannonballs. The whole concept from Jim Collins, the Harvard Business School professor, get some time in reconnaissance, right? I talked about begin reconnaissance. You want to get eyes on the objective and see. You want to interact with it and see, okay, how's this going? Do people like what I have to say? Do they like my service? Do they like the product, right? Before you willy-nilly commit all of your capital and all of your money and all your resources into something you don't know yet, or you hire some service that tells you, we're going to make you a multimillionaire. Just pay us $100,000 and we're going to do it for you. You sit back and passive income. You really have to know what you're doing before you commit like that, right? You really want to make sure that the product or service is tested out there. And so I think again, I'll change slightly what I said in the beginning. The number one thing is the desire, the deep driving desire to do this thing, to be an entrepreneur, to own a business. And then you got to be able to roll the punches and face the uncertainty, face the hardship, but you will get good at it, okay? So character, I think character and the ability to learn fast, the two most important things as an entrepreneur. And I want to say the ability to learn fast really is relative to you, right? Learn faster than you learned before. Be efficient. And if you're a slower learner, again, you've been told your whole life you're a slow learner, and you say to yourself, I'm a slow learner, okay? I want you to change your self-talk, first of all. I'm not a slow learner. But you got to stay on the job a little longer. That's all it means, okay? You got to stay on the job a little longer. We all have basically the same DNA, right? So if one person can do it, you can do it. Remember that. And that's a great thing about business is that, you know, we don't have to be Elon Musk. Okay. We don't. And you can still make a lot of money, have a great business, you know, buy back your time, all those things like that. You know, in the business you really want to start, if you stay on the project and you stay on it longer, you're willing to take more pain, suffering, hardship, all those things, sacrifice than the other person. Okay.
When do you hit that level, Ben, though, that it's
Yeah.
not any fun anymore? Like you're like it's become too much. You know,
I think you got to have some deep, like you remember joy versus happiness, right? We talked about this, but the satisfaction of growth, one of the most important things that defines people psychologically, right, is the feeling that you're growing. Because you're either growing or you're dying, one or the other, okay? And so when you're doing hard things and you're learning, even if it's hard, you can pat yourself on the back and say, hell yeah, man, I'm better than I was yesterday, all right? And so, you know, if a lot of the times when people feel they're powerless to change their situation, they start to suffer. You know, they feel like, you know, I'm not making any progress, I'm not doing this. Then they end up quitting because you have such expectations attached to the daily actions. What I would say is you got to drop the expectations, go with the vision, go with the plan, take the daily actions, have a daily standard of performance. This is very important, right? A daily standard of performance that's going to move you to do the action steps that will take you to the milestones that will lead you to grow, okay? You got to fall in love with that and pat yourself on the back. Link positive emotion to the daily standard of performance, the daily actions. It makes all the difference. Like going to the gym, right, Bobby? Chinese bamboo. I talked about this last night. Chinese bamboo. Chinese bamboo is planted, okay? It takes 5 years of watering the Chinese bamboo, 3 to 5 years, okay? The farmer has to water it every day for 3 to 5 years or else nothing happens. And if you miss one day, it dies, okay? So you got to be like Chinese bamboo because
that's a
one
5-year
day,
commitment every day.
that's it. If you water this thing every day for 3 to 5 years, and you don't know if it's going to hit it 3 years or 5 years, one day, if you do it every day, you never miss a day, and there's no automatic watering system because it's where the bamboo grows. You got to carry that stuff. It's arduous, it's hard, it's painful, it's grueling. But if you do it every day and you go over there, the next thing you know, one day it just shoots up 10 feet. You're like, holy crap. And then all of a sudden, within like 30 days, it grows 90 to 120 feet, okay? And it starts spreading everywhere. And
That
no one
ruins
can
your whole
see the
fucking
work
land.
you're
You
doing.
can't get rid
Silent,
of
lonely
it.
work. That's
Nobody
it. Silent,
own it.
lonely work for years, and then one day it shoots up and everyone can see the results. You got to be like Chinese bamboo. You got to be like
Yeah.
Chinese bamboo.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things that, you know, if you're inspired to be an entrepreneur, that you have to understand. Because again, we're not all cut out to be entrepreneur, but that doesn't mean that you won't be rich. Look at Jamie Dimon, right? Like he's a good CEO. He's not a founder of anything, right? Like again, you don't have to be an entrepreneur if that's not what you want. You can become wealthy by being a good number 2, number 3, or number 4 guy, right? You can do that. But if you inspire to be an entrepreneur, you got to be able to, I guess, make friends with delayed gratification, right? Because again, you might not see the results right away. You got to be able to tangle with risks. You got to be able to manage it, right? You got to be able to get out there and raise money and hire right and do everything that comes with being in that world. And you just have to be ready to go grind it out, right? Because again, that's what's necessary. And if you can't do that, then again, you can be a good number 2, a good number 3. You can go work for somebody with an organization, prove yourself, and then get promoted up the ranks. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But you have to know yourself and know what you're capable of, right? Maybe you're one of those guys that have good ideas but can't execute, and you just, you know, sell your product or your patent to somebody else, right? There's a lot of different ways out there for you to get wealthy. You just have to know yourself and know what you're capable of handling and actually getting across the finish line, right? Because you got to be able to see it through. Don't rest in the middle, rest at the end, right? It's something that I just heard here recently. Bobby, what do you have?
Well, something that I always think about, and you know, you guys play football. You know, you always hear about Emmitt Smith or the Cowboys greats, but with that, no, I was like, their O line made that whole team.
That's right.
I was like, I could have put high schoolers back there with that O line, and we're going to win games. So you got to have that supporting cast, and it's like, that's what I do. Is like I try to find people that are better at things than I am at a certain place. So I try to be my expert in my field, and I'm not any good at theirs. Especially at our age, and I'm like, man, if it was going to be something international, ambassador, something like that, I'm calling Ben. I'm going to ask him, hey,
I appreciate you, man.
what do I got to do, and what's the ways to get through this? and I can streamline my shit then.
Right.
Same with Jay. And that's, that's back and forth. Me personally, I like a challenge, so I love information. Tell me I can't find something. Tell me I can't find somebody. And just give you all a quick instance. Somebody was talking to me about crypto yesterday. I'm not big into it, but for what I was doing, for the work I was doing, I needed to learn about it, how it worked. And I'm like, okay, they got to have a lot of energy. They got to be able to get it cheap. Da 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 da. So in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, how can I get that? And I'm like, wait a minute, we got a goddamn power plant we built in Kabul that ain't even been run. It's at less than 1%. I was like, shit, that's the perfect place to go fucking set up these giant crypto fucking machines.
Yeah. Mining.
So I mean, but that's how my mind works. I'm like, how can I get to the top in Streamline? Everybody else is over here looking at plugging into the wall.
I'm sorry, I was just picturing the Taliban attacking the mining operation because they see the pictures of the coins. They're like, "We're going to get the coins. We're going to get the coins out of the facility." They break it. They're like, "Where is it? You said the coins were here. There's no coins here."
$350 million power plant, and it's been turned on like twice. Brand new, just sitting there waiting on me to fucking start crypto mining.
But the other thing, because the picture shows a Bitcoin, a real coin.
Yeah. Hey,
it's like Sacha Baron Cohen should make a movie about
Easter.
this.
You know what I'm saying? They got chocolate in the middle.
Right. Man, but I'll say it's like and to your point, Bobby, I was thinking about I'm looking at possibly trying to acquire a multifamily property in California, and I was like, first person I thought it was Jay. I'm like, Jay,
let's go.
See what he thinks.
That's what
Jay's like, hey, I'm fixing to come see you. How far are you from me? We've been talking about this. And I told him, I said, hey, look, I got the state man gonna ride with us. We're gonna go look. And he's like, shit, let me see how far it is.
That's where it's at, man. But yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in again. Audience, we appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out with us. Before we call this one, any last words, Bobby, Ben?
My last word for today, because I'm gonna beat Ben to the punch right here. Guys, if y'all got questions, throw them up in there so Jay can see them, man. We'll answer the best we can. If there's somebody you want to put your name on it. I will be starting a series this week that I'd like for everybody to come check it out. It's nothing about to do with this, but I'm fixing to tell y'all the real story behind and how we got to 9/11 and what the war was about, and it'd be like nothing you've ever seen before. Wow. So I inquire everybody to come look because it's still happening to this day, and the information's out there. Everybody hears, why are you funding the Taliban? Why are we sending money? I listen to Congress do this shit all the time. Knee-jerk reaction, sell fear. They're going to do terror. I said in 4 years, they ain't thought about making no fucking terror moves, all right? Secondly, we got to leave them with weapons to defend themselves against China and all these other places, because people will come and take your shit, all right, if not. We destabilized it. We got to stand them back up. They kicked the other folks' ass. The winner fucking gets to win. It was like, hey, whoever wins, and that's who we got to back. So
where can they go to find that series, Bobby?
You can come check it out. We're going to be on the committee. I'm talking about we're going to be having a good-ass time. I'll have the channel. It'll start today. I'll probably try to put out an episode tonight, and then we're going to break it down into segments. It's not going to be a long, drawn-out ordeal.
Okay.
If you have questions, hit me up in it. I won't ever tell y'all nothing I can't bring a receipt for. That's a goal of mine. I'll always do.
Nice, man.
All right, so that's your YouTube channel, right, Bobby?
Yes, sir.
That's going to be cool. That sounds really cool. Hey, everybody, just come on over to Ben Pappas' YouTube channel. I think it's at Ben Pappas 1. So come on over. Please subscribe. I've got a lot of, you like the stuff that we're talking about today. This is like, what I do all the time on there. I feature leadership profiles on Friday. My Friday Night Live is a lot of fun. It's
you
a
get
good
some
time.
Great fucking people, man. I don't know how you get those guys on there.
I appreciate it, man. Well, I mean, to the point what Jay said too. Ryan Sparks, the first interview I had, he worked with Jamie Dimon. He was, he was number 2 at Wells Fargo. He's, in Fortune 100 companies, CEO, COO, CIO, and he's made millions, as you said, as being a number 2, number 3, and number 1. And so we had a great talk. But to your point, Jay, what you were saying, you don't have to be an entrepreneur to make it. And I know Ryan's probably going to be starting something soon on his own. But anyway, everybody come on over there. I have Friday Night Live, 6 p.m. It's the old War Room slot. It's a lot of fun. Ben Pappas 1, at Ben Pappas 1. And last week we went for about 3 hours, but usually I do like a leadership profile in the beginning. I cover world news, U.S. politics, U.S. news, world news, the wars that are going on. And then we have about a 30 to 45 minute comedy, crazy fun hour with the leadership lessons of South Park, comedy and satire. I might even bring UFOs back. Becky, I know you're in the audience. You're wishing for that. Probably going to bring some UFOs back. There's a lot of stuff happening, right?
You ain't never had me on with the UFOs being now.
I know, Bobby. I'm going to bring you. I might need you to go out in the field. We might go have Bobby in the field with a camera
I can
somewhere.
get us on Skinwalker and Chicken and Broken Frog, whatever the fuck it's called. I can get us on there.
That sounds good. But everybody come on over. Please subscribe over to my YouTube channel, and you'll learn everything else going on from there. It's super fun.
Absolutely. And again, folks, I know this is a different field than what we were doing with the War Room, but in my opinion, this adds a lot more value to you guys' lives as far as financial freedom. If there's anybody out there that wants to start a business, that wants to become financially free, you have access to us, and we just want to bring overall good vibe to everybody, right? So yeah, if you guys can like, share the episode. Again, if you want to support us and you want to add value, you can reach out to me. You can help us with the thumbnail and also the chapters and all that stuff to get this show some more views. And then from there, either way, we really appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out with us for about an hour or so. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week again,
Same bad
10
channel.
a.m. Eastern time.
All right.
Same
Thanks,
bad
guys.
time.
Great being here with y'all.
Yeah, you guys have a good one.
Take care, you too.